Okay, so in this part what I'm going to do is just show you some of the other mapping techniques that we have in Maya. So what I'll do is I'm just going to hit spacebar. I'm going to just create a spherical sphere there. Just going to create a cylinder and just create a little cone there. So I'm going to just hit spacebar. There we go. So with each one of these assets or primitives as they're created, you'll see that you'll get a basic UV layout, which is just the system giving it its basic UV layout. But I'll show you how you can generate those. So start off with a sphere. I just select those UVs and just move those to one side. And before I do anything else, let me just call up the hypershade. I'm just going to put on the texture. So hypershade's appeared on a different screen there. So let's do object, select sign, there we go. So if I start and just put these two onto a different layer and just call them layer 3. So okay, so if I just, there we go. So you can see that it's kind of got some standard UVs. So if I want to do a spherical map, first of all, let's do, I'm just going to do automatic just to destroy those UVs. So show me, move those, okay. Okay, so a spherical map. To do spherical mapping, select your object, create UVs, spherical. And you can see that what it tries to do is it tries to put a little spherical gizmo, and I'm just going to scale the gizmo out just by clicking on the little square on the center so you can see it. And you can see it's arcing around the circumference of the sphere. If I click on the red handle, I can spin it around so it encompasses the entire sphere. And also, if I click on, and this is very cool with the spherical gizmo, if you click on this top yellow one, you can actually bring it down so it extends to the top of the sphere. You can see that it's trying to coalesce at the top. Now, there is a problem there. You can see it's all trying to warp in it. This is why we've got this funny kind of cone at the top and the bottom where it's trying to get the poles to make sense. And you can see as you get closer to the poles, the edges, the grid lines get more distorted as that polygon triangle edge is being drawn even more narrow as it goes. So you got spherical mapping. Now you can try and alleviate that problem by just rotating around and see if we can just bring it in. See, it's kind of just not liking that. Let's see if I can try and move it. No. There you go. I'm just moving it around, see if I can distort it. Now the way I would get rid of that cone at the top and at the bottom for the poles is I would do spherical, then come in here and do face and select faces at the top. In fact, I should actually select them all, then hold down control and deselect the ones in the middle. Let's just make sure I've got that correct. Yep. And then what I would do is just do a planar map. And in fact, let me just get my planar options. Create planar options and just do Y. And there we go. Just to alleviate that. And then if I put that up there, I'd end up with the top. If I do move selection, with the bottom one as well. And then I just select both of those, hit R and scale them so they're very, very small. Probably matching the size of this grid. This is one way I would get rid of those distortions at the poles. And the other thing you can do is when you draw the texture, you make sure that the texture is very solid color, so there's no visual image differences. That's one way. Second way you can do this is if you select it and do cylinder. It's not actually gonna. So select that as do create cylindrical mapping. There we go. And cylindrical mapping does a very similar thing. I'm just going to try and see if I can. Let me. There we go. So with cylindrical mapping, you can do a similar thing where you've got the cylinder mapped to a certain extent, and then you can take the polys at a predetermined area for the top and the bottom. And again, you can planar map those. And that allows you to have a little bit more control again. And again, you scale those down. Okay. Then put those. Actually, this is another way. Okay. So that's just a couple of ways that you can do spherical mapping. The other way you can do it as well is if you do face. So let's say if I say create automatic mapping, you can try that one. And if you click on the options, you can say automatic mapping, less distortion. And I'm going to go with, let's try 4. Okay, we'll leave it on 6 and see how that goes, and hit apply. And you can see it does automatic mapping. And you can keep on trying that with different methods. Let's try that one with 3. See how that enders. There you go. Just 3 sides. Okay. And last but not least, if you create a sphere with default and click on the options, you can actually get it to create UVs which are it's called sawtooth at the pole or pinched at the pole. So what this does is it automatically, I'm just going to apply the material so you can see how this one differs as well. So what happens is with this one, when you have it click it originally and say sawtooth at the pole, so if I say none, that's no UVs. Pinched at the pole is the way we had it, and you can see that's what you get from spherical. Or you can say sawtooth at the pole, which just lines everything out, which is just a little bit cleaner. So there's a couple of methods there that you can do for spherical. Okay. Now I'm going to just move on to, let's put those on another pole. or cylindrical. So okay, so cylindrical comes in with its own, but again, if you want a cylindrical map, create UVs, cylindrical map in. And again, you can manipulate it there. That gets the sides, and just going to make it a little bit bigger by click on that one. There we go. And then the poles, you just select these two. Convert my selection to face, and then I can just say planar map and get the tops. There we go, and the bottoms. And once again, scale those down. And that allows me to cylindrical map. And depending on how much detail, I can move this, move this one down. There we go. That's cylindrical. And then this one over here, which is conical. If I, a couple of ways of doing this one, I can say select it, planar in the Y. That gets the top, and it also gets the bottom. And if I select the bottom and do planar, I can move that to one side. That gets my cone from the top view, from the Y view, UV mapped. If I'm not happy with that one, I can keep the bottom one the way it is, select faces for the cone part, and this one I could say cylindrical. So if I say create cylinder, extend it all the way around, and then move it into view, and that allows me to do it as a cylinder. Okay. And then it's just a question of scale and apply the texture with the base there. You can also, if you really want to, approach this one from a planar mapping point of view. If you select the faces and say planar in the Z-axis, you can map it straight through so it's mapped and mirrored. That's one way of doing it. Okay. And you can see where we've got this problem where things are kind of mirrored on either side. We can actually probably map it as half and map the other half, and then flatten them out. So what I mean by that is I could select this half of faces and do our planar map, move this to one side, select the other half. You see you got both halves there, and if I hit UVs I can scale those down. Just allow me to arrange my UVs that way. Okay, so that was basic planar, cylindrical, spherical and planar mapping. Last one that I'm going to show you, I'm just going to hide those. So it's just let's hide everything there. There we go, and switch that one back on. The thing I want to show you is camera base. So the camera base one allows you to map. If I just call it back up, create UVs planar, just allows you to map objects from a camera point of view, so that you can get a a visual plane that might be a little bit harder for you to attain. So what I'll do is I'm just going to delete this bolt, just show you what I mean. If I take this, I'm going to say I'm going to say mesh chamfer vertex. Let's go click. There we go. I just want to chamfer one of these vertices. I do an apply there. Oops, wrong one. Select vertex. I'm just going to say. There we go. I chamfered one vertex. I don't actually want to make that one. Let's make it 5. Oops, oh, that was horrible. Sorry, I look a bit too much there. Let's just undo that. Let's make it. Okay. It's kind of done what I want, but let's select those verts. Scale. There we go. Just scale it out. So what I'm trying to do is just to maximize the view. Just close that. Just trying to show you if I actually had a different visual look on one side, as if this side was actually cut at a funny angle. If I select this one here, just going to snap these verts. There we go. Almost as if someone had taken a knife and just sheared off this side. If I select those verts, I'm just going to weld them. There we go. Problem is now I've got distortion on my UVs there. And if I hit my spacebar, you can see that I've damaged it. So what I can do is I can say face, and I'm just going to go through, grow these selections again. I'm going to ignore this face, and I'm just going to say planar. Just first of all, let's see if I can actually. I might be able to move this with UV show. No, I didn't think so. Okay, so if I do face, create UVs, planar options, and I'm going to say on that side, applying a Z. In fact, let's just do 2 birds with 1 stone. Let's try and kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. So that one. Let's grow it. That grows both of them. I need to deselect that one by holding down Control. I'm going to do apply, and that gets me both UVs for those sides. And let's just move those out of the way. Do UV sharp. There you go. And do the other sides now. So face, grow them too. Hold down Control just to get rid of that one, and this one's going to be in the X, and apply, and then move UV sharp just to put that one up there. And last but not least, face, 1, 2, Control to select the cut, and this is in the Y. And shift select that one in the Y, and apply, and then move those down there, and then move UV sharp. There we go. And I've got the sides 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've got this funny shape, which is this kind of chamfer. Now that I can try and manipulate my UV gizmo to pick up that face, but the easiest method is just to try and angle it here in my perspective view and just say camera, because it's the camera that's looking at that kind of cut off chamfer corner, and say apply. Sorry, let's do that again. Select it, there you go. There you go. and that's now mapped that chamfer corner with the gizmo from the camera. You can see it's close. You know, if I want to get it better, I can just click on this little T here, click on the circle to activate rotate, and just rotate it backwards. But I mainly got there by the camera, and then that allows me to come into this view. I can now say UVs, hit R and just scale it down so it matches. Put that. Let's just put all these pieces together. Put this piece over here. Now if I select them all, hit R, scale it down. There you go. That's now ready. Let's pull this one up, look a bit further. And because that chamfered corner, I can put that there, and I've got lots of free UV space because my bolts are still occupying that space, so that allows me to put it nicely in the UV map. Okay. So that basically is using the 4 different projection methods for UV in. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to just pause this, and when I come back I'm going to show you how you can just, you know, cut and move edges and sew and flip edges and faces in the UV editor, just to make life a little bit easier for yourself when you're planning out your texture map wireframes. Okay.